One day to go before the Scottish Premiership starts, and that means it is time for me to embarrass myself with my predictions for the upcoming 2023-24 season. Welcome back, guys, to Sort of Scotland TV. Am I going to predict Hearts to win the league? You're damn right I am. There you go, end of video. Hearts are going to be champions. 5th time being champions of Scotland. End it there. Less than 30 seconds. Everybody can go home happy. That would be a dream scenario for me. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, I will not be predicting Hearts to win the league this year, or unfortunately any year in the near future, unless there is massive changes in Scottish football. But I do think this is an exciting season coming up. I think a lot of teams will be close, especially down the bottom. I think it's really tight to call it. I think we could see like probably 6-7 teams battling for those relegation spots. I genuinely mean that. Even some teams that did well last season, I think they're going to struggle this season, and it's very hard to do a prediction. Normally you've got a couple of teams that you think are going to be nailed on for certain positions. This year I don't really see that. The only position I'm kind of sure about is at the top of the table, but we'll talk more about that when I get there. So we have to start off with 12, and I am pretty confident in my 12th pick. Obviously, I picked this same team to finish 12th last season. It came back and bit me in the ass. The two teams that I thought were going to finish 11th and 12th last season actually went on to go on really good runs and made me look like a moron. But let's be honest, last season Motherwell and St Johnstone did look like the two worst teams in the league by a mile at the start of the season. Obviously St Johnstone went on to survive, and Motherwell went on to be the form team in the second half of the season. I think they scored more points than everybody bar Rangers in the last 15 games, which was incredible for them. But anyway, my prediction from last year isn't changing. I'm going to stick with my 12th place team, and that of course will be the one and only St Johnstone. Yes, I think St Johnstone are going down. This is a team that did the cup double a few years ago. I don't think there'll be any silverware in their trophy cabinet this year. In fact, I think next year they'll be playing for the Championship trophy. I think St Johnstone are just the weaker side out of the 11, out of the 12 even, sorry. You can see how they performed in the League Cup this season. Not very good. Some embarrassing defeats in there. Of course, the worst of all came against Stirling Albion at home at McDiarmid Park. I'm looking at the signings that St Johnstone have made. I don't think they're that good. They're not that impressive for me. And another reason why I'm going with St Johnstone 12 is because I think the team that came up this season, I think the promoted team Dundee, have actually went for a little bit in the transfer market. I think they've made signings, and therefore I think the team that's came up this year is stronger than the team that comes up normally is. So therefore I think St Johnstone will finish last, and I'm going to put them to be 12th. Moving on to 11th. Okay, this is where it gets hard for me, because other than St Johnstone, I think it's hard to make a claim for this next position. I think you could be looking at multiple teams here. There's quite a lot of teams I think could be finishing in this position. But I'm going to go with a team that I think will shock a lot of people. But I'm going to have to go with them because I predict that this is where they will be. I'm going to go for Dundee. I know a lot of people are predicting Dundee to have a really good season, and I do think, well, by really good season, I mean a lot of people think they'll do enough to stay up, and I'm not saying they won't, but I do think they'll finish 11th in that relegation playoff spot. They have brought in some unique signings, you know, some signings from across the world. Whether they're going to be good signings or not, we don't know. Look, just because someone's got a cool Latin sounding name, that doesn't mean they're going to be the best player since Lionel Messi, and if you sign a domestic based player, it doesn't mean they're going to be shite. But Dundee have signed a bunch of players we're not familiar with, and we'll have to wait and see until the season gets underway to find out how good they really are. But they did sign Trevor Carson from St Mirren, which I thought was a pretty big deal. I mean, they paid like 120 grand for Trevor Carson, signing him from a fellow club from the league. So yeah, no, Dundee I think are making a statement this season. I think they're going to try their best to stay up. Not that they haven't tried in previous years, but I would say they're making a real go of it this time around, and that's why I've got Dundee to finish 11th. Moving into 10th spot, again, very hard to pick. I am going to go though with Motherwell. I think Motherwell will struggle. Motherwell have lost Kevin Van Veen, they've lost Johnson, they've lost a lot of key players from last season, a lot of starters that they had in their team are no longer there. A lot of people are saying, it's only Kevin Van Veen they've lost. In fact, they've lost a lot more than Kevin Van Veen. But when you factor in everything that they have lost, plus Kevin Van Veen, I do think they'll struggle this season. I don't think we'll see them push on. I know a lot of people are saying if last season was longer, they would have made top 6. Well, that was last season, and that is when they had Kevin Van Veen, a goal-scoring machine. They don't have him anymore. I don't think they've done enough to replace him up front, and I do think they will struggle to score goals. Goals win you games, and without Kevin Van Veen, I don't think Motherwell will win that many games. So I'm going to put Motherwell in at 10th. Moving in to 9th, possibly a bit lower than people might expect, I am going to go with Livingston. I think that Davy Martindale's done a great job. I always praise Davy Martindale, but I don't think Livy's going to go down. I just think they're going to have a bad season compared to how they normally do. If you look at previous seasons, they normally start well, they get themselves into a good position, and then they falter towards the end, and they let the top 6 slip out their hands, and they end up finishing in the bottom 6. This season, I can see it being a little bit similar. The only thing is, I don't think they're going to get off to the good start they normally get. Therefore, I think they're going to finish a little bit lower. I think they'll avoid relegation, don't get me wrong. I think they'll have enough to stay out of the bottom 2 spots. But for me, they're not going to be as high up as I would normally put them. Normally, I would say Livingston are always competing around that 6th place this season. I don't think that is going to be the case. Moving into 8th. This is where we're getting close to a place in the top 6. Who am I going to go with up next? I'm going to go with Ross County. I think Malky Mackay will have a good year this year. I know they were lucky last season to stay in the league, and really the only reason they're there is because Partick Thistle did bottle it 100%. But I've looked at the signings that Ross County have made, and I think they've made some impressive signings, some decent signings. Brought in Eamon Brophy from St Mirren, who I think will be a good acquisition. And I just think that Malky Mackay, he has to deliver this season because the last few have not been great. And I think that this will be the one that he does get things right. They also brought in Jay Henderson for St Mirren. They brought in Kyle Turner for Partick Thistle. Scott Allardyce from Inverness. I think they've made some decent signings. Now, they did lose Alex Ivacotti. Other than that, though, I mean, that was really it. Some players left at the end of their loan deals, but I think Ross County have done okay in the window, and I think they will finish 8th, which would be their highest finish in quite a while. So, yeah, I'm predicting Ross County to finish 8th. And last but not least, who will be top of the bottom 6? Everyone is going St Mirren, and I'm going to disagree. I think we've seen St Mirren lose some players this season. I am going to say that St Mirren finish 7th. I'm just looking at the St Mirren squad. They have lost some top players. They did bring in Connor McMenamin from Glentoran to be their main man up front this season, but I'm not sure whether that or not that's going to do it for them. Curtis Main, I think, leaving will be a blow. Then you had Eamon Brophy leaving as well. Declan Gallagher left. I think he was decent for them. I know he gets a lot of criticism, but I think he's an okay defender. I think St Mirren have lost a lot of players. Thierry Small, his loan deal came to an end. Richard Tate, I thought was a good player for St Mirren. He retired. Joe Shaughnessy, he left for Dundee. Charles Dunn left as well. Jay Henderson going to Ross County. I think St Mirren have lost a lot of key players, and I think that is why they will finish 7th, and I think they'll just miss out on the top 6. Now moving into top 6, I am going to go with Kilmarnock. I went Kilmarnock to finish 6th last year. I got it wrong. I think I put too much expectations on Kilmarnock. They were just up, and I thought they were going to go straight into the top 6. Looking back at it, I think I definitely overrated them and I overestimated what they could do. And now looking at it, I think they have had 1 year in the Premiership. I think they built on that. I think they made a couple of decent signings. I do believe that Derek McKenzie is one of the better managers in the league, and this year I do think that they will be. Last year they were really good at home. Don't get me wrong, they were really good at home, but I think this season they will get better results away from home as well, and I think that will improve them up the league table. Their away form can't be as bad as it was last year, so if they keep up their good home form this year and add more points away from home, then I think we will see Kelly break in to the top 6. Coming in 5th place, I'm going with Hibernian. Last season, they lost Ryan Porteous in the January transfer window. They lost Kevin Nisbet in the summer window. In my opinion, their 2 best players. Don't get me wrong, they still have other good players. They have Martin Boyle, who is very good. At the goalkeeping positions, I do not rate Hibs. They brought in Dylan Levitt, who I think will be a decent signing as well. And look, I think they have got a decent squad, and they've got a better squad than anyone that's below them. But they've also got Lee Johnson as the manager, and I just don't trust Lee Johnson. I think the guy sucks. I am shocked that he's still in a job, to be honest. I don't think he's going to take Hibs any higher than 5th. I think Hibs will finish 5th purely based on the fact that they do have a bigger budget and they have a better squad than the teams below them. But it's not going to be because Lee Johnson is working wonders. So I'm going to go with Hibernian to finish 5th. Moving into 4th. Everyone's picking Hearts for 4th. Everyone's expecting Hearts to finish 4th. Some people are expecting Hearts to finish 5th. I don't expect Hearts to finish 4th or 5th. I actually predict Hearts to finish a wee bit higher than that. So I'm going to go with Aberdeen in 4th. My reason for this is I think Aberdeen have lost a lot of key players. When you look at last season, the players that were pivotal for them, they brought in a lot. They were relying on a lot of loan players last season. No doubt about that. A lot of the key players that they had were on loan. This season, they've lost Ross McCrory. They just today got rid of Ramadani. They've sold him to lease. They've lost a bunch of players, albeit a lot of them were either end of loan deals or getting released. But I do think that it is going to affect Aberdeen, and I don't see them being as strong as they were last season. Now, Graham Shinnie coming in, I think is fantastic for Aberdeen. I think he's a key player. I expect him to be important, play a big role. And they brought in the man from Liverpool, Leighton Clarkston, who I think will be another good signing, really good signing. I can see him doing big things in the future. I don't think he'll be at Aberdeen long. Also, Nicky Devlin for Livingston was a good signing. Like, Aberdeen have done okay in the transfer market. Yeah, they've lost key players, but they've made some good signings. But my problem is, I don't rate Barry Robson. I just don't rate Barry Robson. He done great last season, but again, it was that manager bounce. It was the manager coming in. He got off to a good start. He kept that start going, but I think they should have appointed a proper manager, a legit manager with experience, and not give the job, do the cheap option essentially, giving the job to Barry Robson. So, like, I'm not going to say Barry Robson sucks, but in my opinion, he will get found out this season, and I don't see him doing as good as he did last year. Plus, another factor we've got to look at is Aberdeen are guaranteed 6 games in Europe, and if you look at Hearts last season, they actually navigated the European games pretty well. If you look at the table, after the European games had finished, Hearts were still within like a win or two of top 3. I just don't think Aberdeen will navigate it that well. Plus, I don't think Hearts will be in the European group stage part of the tournament anyway. So yeah, I think the European games could also affect Aberdeen, and I'm going to go with them to finish 4th. Moving in to 3rd place, this is where I have to put Hearts. Realistically, no one's going to break the old form for a long time. I think Hearts have brought in a couple of interesting signings. I don't know if they're good or not. Not heard of them, but I'm excited to see them in action. And we haven't really lost that many. We lost Ginnelly, who left on a free. The loan deal ended for Humphreys. I mean, Robert Snodgrass started last season pretty good, but he died off. By the time we got rid of him, it didn't really matter. We will be getting Craig Gordon back. I mean, Shankland, I'm sure, will score a shitload more goals. Last season, I predicted Shankland to get 20 goals, and he was the first Hearts player to get over 20 goals in a season for over 20 years. So hopefully he can bang in another 20-goal season this year and fire us back to where we belong in 3rd. Plus, if you look at the Scottish Premiership, no team has finished in 3rd place. And the same team's finished in 3rd place for the past, 6 years? No team's done it back to back. So I think that Aberdeen aren't going to be the first team to do that. So, yeah, I think Aberdeen will drop off a little bit this year, and I think we will take advantage of it. That's why I'm putting us 3rd. Moving into 2nd, who's it going to be, guys? Old Firm shootout, Rangers Celtic. I'm going to have to go with Rangers. I think they've brought in a lot of players, and some of them do look good, and some of them I think will be good players. But can they all gel in time? There's a big turnover going in this Rangers squad. I expect that Mike will be able to bring in quality more than quantity, but he's brought in like 9 players, and the majority of them I think will be going in to the first, if not starting 11, they'll be first team, and I think it could take them a little bit of time to gel and to start getting up to, their maximum capacity, so to speak. So I think Rangers will finish 2nd. I think it will be close. I think they'll cut the gap to Celtic. I think Rangers and Celtic will both finish on less points than they had last season. I don't think Celtic will be as strong without Ange Postecoglou. I think they look a bit weaker this season. They've lost Jota, and none of the players that they've brought in have really, done anything for me. They haven't really struck me as great Celtic signings. So I'm going to go with Rangers 2nd, and I'm going to go with Celtic 1st. Again, I don't think there'll be much in it. I think it could be probably less than 6 points, 2 games. I think we'll definitely see it go to the split. Could see it going to the last couple of games. But I just think Celtic will edge ahead of Rangers. But again, not much in it. I mean, I could see Rangers winning the league. I wouldn't say I'm super confident in Celtic doing it. I just think they have got the better team. Brendan Rodgers is a good manager, whether people want to admit it or not. But what I do think is that Rangers will be competitive, and I think it will be a decent fight for the title. I'm just going to give the nod to Celtic, guys. So there you go. That's my predictions. We'll find out if they're right or not. I am pretty confident though with St Johnstone. I think St Johnstone are going down. We'll see if it happens or not. What'll happen? We'll find out, guys. The upcoming season. That's it. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, though, peace.